You know, I think I actually will. I do need to go over Hachi's shop at some point, and we're approaching a bit of a turning point in the campaign, so I think I will be showing that. But first off, welcome back to Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Look who's here!
New music in stock. I wonder if that's Eagle's theme, actually, since we fought him last time.
Eh? A customer? Oh, welcome! Come back again now.
Yeah, so he kind of informs you when he has more stuff available. I like how there's a literal ship in a bottle in the back there. Ah, okay, so you actually have to buy war room maps just like you did in Advance Wars 1. In Advance Wars 2, you started with all the default war room maps, you just had to buy the Advance Wars 2 exclusive war room maps. Oh, I need to get Egg Islands. There's a reason why I need Egg Islands, which I can probably show off in a moment. But yeah, we have those, we can also do COs and more. Nope, no COs, and yes, we also have these themes we can get. Oh yeah, it looks like It's War and Air Ace have their own themes. Some of them I think are new, and then we have artwork for all of the characters too. Now if I go back in, I just want to see something. Now, we haven't been introduced to Sammy yet, so this is jumping the gun quite a bit, but this is actually the reason why... This is the reason why I wanted to show Hachi's shop, because Hachi actually gives you gameplay tips, and a lot of the more obscure things that I've been mentioning about the gameplay, you're actually supposed to go to Hachi's shop to find out about them. So that is actually another important function this shop serves. And yeah, she actually has fine long-distance units, but we'll see those later. So the reason why I wanted to show Egg Islands? Yep. This map is essentially New Zealand invading Australia. I don't know why they put that in, but it's amazing. But yeah, the next map. It's time to find out how they actually handled the route splits this time. Yeah,
sorry to
there's
keep
two.
You waiting.
Also, hi Max, thank you for sounding like Pit there. So this music definitely was in the original game. It's used for introducing a new playable character.
I'm Max, a CO in the Orange Star Army.
Yeah!
So finally, Andy has backup. We no longer have to deal with his stupidity. Instead, we have to deal with a guy who's mostly muscle than brains, but he's still somehow smarter than Andy.
Oh yeah!
When he says King of Direct Combat, he's really not kidding.
That's right. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but why focus on the negative?
It's so funny that he says this, because Advance Wars 1 Max pretty much is perfect.
It's time to choose the next battle.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so we do have options, yeah. So we have Max Strikes Andy and Max Strikes Max. Despite the name, we're actually allowed to choose Andy for this mission, and it's a totally different one. So this one has 4 bases and 13 cities. This one right here has no bases. Max's tanks are always grade A, but this particular battle will be won at sea. Or we have this option. The seas ahead are rough and uncertain. Can Andy turn the tide? Yep, there are both going to be naval battles here. It's weird they're actually classifying the Max version as harder, because Max is basically easy mode. Since we just got introduced to Max, I may as well do the Max version of this mission. They are actually 2 totally different missions though, even though they have the same name. And it gets even more interesting later on. There's really only 2 route splits in the campaign, except there's one quasi-route split later. It's more of a reward than a route split. So Max and Nell actually do have a bit of a history. And he's the only new guy. In Advance Wars 1, don't count on it. So we haven't actually dealt with sea units yet, so let's go over them. We saw landers in the third mission where Olaf had one in a reef. These things can load any 2 ground units. So not just infantry and mechs, they're the only way to transport things like tanks and, artillery and rockets. So important to know that. Of course, if the transport sinks, everything inside it dies. Okay, we're going to be loading in a medium tank. But landers can only unload units in beaches. Not any tile adjacent to water, it has to specifically be a beach. Also ports as well. Those are the only 2 terrain types that landers can load things into. Other naval units cannot traverse beaches, so that's somewhat important as well. So we have a battleship here. Battleships are indirect units with a range of 2 to 6 spaces, except we're max, so it's actually up to 5 spaces.
Oh no.
I like that, like those eyes there. But just close enough. Now we can have this battleship fire on another. Battleships effectively deal the same damage as rockets. They can hit both land and sea units. They're good for bombarding enemies from the shoreline or for naval combats. But battleships are countered by submarines. Also, just before I leave the concept of a battleship, one thing to mention is that battleships are the most expensive unit in the game. The real reason naval combat is often considered not great in Advance Wars 1 is that... yeah, naval units are all crazily expensive. Battleships cost 28,000, so you need a massive amount of cities to really be able to afford them. Yeah, you guess right, Andy doesn't know a lot about anything.
Do you need me to explain?
Yeah, let's explain submarines. They are actually a pretty complicated unit type. They are direct fire units. They can only fire on other sea units, including other subs. And we should be out of range of those other battleships. And because they're used by mechs, these subs are very, very powerful.
Great job!
They're pretty much designed to take down battleships. They can also dive underwater. When a sub dives, not only can it only be hit by cruisers, which aren't in this map. Cruisers are a weird unit. They're basically a dedicated sub counter and nothing else. But cruisers are the only things that can hit a submerged sub as well as other subs. And subs can attack while they're submerged. They cannot submerge and fire in the same turn though. You'll have to do that in advance. They lose 1 unit of fuel every day, but they sink and instantly die if they run out of fuel, just like air units. This is important for submarines because they burn fuel fast when they're submerged. That's why APCs can actually be somewhat helpful when you're using submarines for supplying them. You might actually need to resupply submarines when they're diving.
I can handle this. Nope.
Oh, sorry, I cut him off there. But yeah, we're going to dive into this other sub to get closer to these battleships. They have a really, really massive range. They, again, have equivalent power to rockets. They're pretty effective against most naval units, but again, they have to set themselves up because they're indirect units. But as an indirect unit, Grit battleships are hilariously terrifying. So it actually makes Grit one of the better naval commanders in this game, as weird as that sounds. So this sub is going to go over here and then dive. But a submerged submarine effectively, don't think they'll explain this. Not only can it only be attacked by subs and cruisers, but it works like a unit in forests in a fog of war map, even if there is no fog on the map. This means that the enemy can only target it if they move a unit directly adjacent to it. Like on Olaf's screen right now, he can't see this sub at all, and he has to scout it out in order to actually attack it. But that aside, this map is very much an all-out slugfest. Let's go over Max right here. Yeah, check out those guns. That's an actual quote that he says. An enthusiastic, strong man who is loyal and earnest. Max, now that I've thought about things, reminds me a lot of Hector from Fire Emblem 7, and Andy's kind of the Eliwood analog in that analogy. He's unmatched when it comes to direct combat, but weak over distances. He's sort of the opposite of Grit. But in Advance Wars 1, Max is broken beyond belief. His direct combat units gain plus 50 to firepower, which is absolutely stupid. In fact, we're going to be showing this right now. Max medium tank versus enemy medium tank on a road. 82% damage. Barely takes any damage in return, thanks to the enemy being so weakened. Max tank versus enemy tank on a city, 57. Max tank versus enemy tank on a plane, 65%. And this applies to all direct units, not just ground ones. So Max's bombers are ludicrously disgusting. They'll one-shot almost everything. Max fighters one-shot any other air unit pretty much. Max submarines are amazing at sea. Max in general is just absolutely ridiculous. His weakness, though, is these indirect units suffer -1 to attack range. Yes, they have 1 less range. This makes Max's artillery pretty much worthless. Because, yeah, look at that range. They're basically Fire Emblem archers that can't move and shoot, which is terrible. Max's rockets are still okay, because they at least get 4 range, but they're bad compared to others. They also have -10 to firepower and defense. Now, in the original Advance Wars 1, I believe this was represented by Max's indirects getting 1 less terrain star, but that is, I don't believe, true of... I don't know if that's true in this version or not. We'll have to see when they actually, like, fight, but, that was changed in later games, but what was also changed in later games is Max no longer has weak defense on indirects. The weak defense is actually a bit of a big deal, because defense is very important in Advance Wars, and if your units die quickly, you just won't be able to use them. But the thing is, it's only a penalty to defense on units that he doesn't need anyway. Like, Advance Wars 1 Max, he never needs to even use indirects at all. His direct units are so ridiculously stupid that he'll just blast away everything. Now, we have to be a little careful on this map, though, because we don't have the ability to deploy any new units. But essentially, we're just going to just run forward and explode everything in sight, because that's just kind of how things go with Advance Wars 1 Max. Again, he is ridiculously broken. If you want somebody to remain your friend, never play against them with Advance Wars 1 Max. I definitely recommend using Advance Wars 2 Max if you're playing multiplayer, who's still very, very good. He's just not, like, as utterly busted as this. Yeah, Olaf already has his power. As I expected.
Behold! Oh, yes!
Yep. Classic Olaf. Speaking of classic Olaf.
Can you withstand the cold?
Our charge is going to get a little blunted right here, but it's not going to do much to deter Max. I'm kind of hoping those tanks go into repair mode. We'll see. Okay, the medium tank definitely did. Got other things coming up. Huh, I wonder if the AI actually does still have its hatred of APCs in this game. I don't know. We'll see. I like those expressions on Max there. In the original, he did this kind of weird nose-wiping gesture when he was doing badly in combat. I love that anger on him as well. It's just, yeah, I feel like Max is, I guess, a little bit more expressive in this version. He just ran his artillery straight up in front of a Max medium tank. That's, like, one of the dumbest things you can potentially do. But I need to be a little careful of that rocket right there. But as long as I stay out of range of that, like, I'm not worried at all right now, like, in terms of, like, I can probably afford to hang back a bit because, yeah, I doubt this mission's gonna go on for very long when it comes to, time. Which one do I go for there? I can hit that artillery from above without, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, 141! This is basically just how Max works. He is completely and utterly busted in the first game. You just, like, there's not much you can do against Advance Wars 1 Max at all. Like even his rockets, you don't really want to build rockets if you're playing as Max, but, like, if you're given rockets on a Max map, you can still use them. They're still pretty fine, and, it's just like, even, like, 50% firepower from counterattacks. Like, there's just nothing to stop you from building up a giant wall of tanks and just charging forward and just destroying everything. It's yeah, what more can I say? Advance Wars 1 Max is ridiculous. However, I just realized that he has battleships in range of my stuff. I got too caught up in talking about how broken Max is, and I forgot about, well, that. I think I'm just going to see how things go right now, because I have this submerged sub right here. Yeah, even naval units get pretty wrecked in snow. Problem with doing this is that this sub is going to potentially get fired on by 2 battleships, but I'd rather have the battleship do that than hit my tank. So I'm going to see what happens if I try and let these battleships go for some other things, possibly. If they hit my medium tank, that is bad, but I'm going to just try and roll with the punches, I guess. That's sort of like Max's whole theme, especially in this version, as you might see later when it comes to his power. I'm going to leave that APC around just in case, again, Olaf decides to be his usual APC targeting self. Of course, if I lose it, then my subs are in danger of sinking, but I also don't want my lander to get too badly wrecked here. Can go a little further down there. Suppose I'm trying to bait out those battleships a little bit. I feel dumb for not noticing them initially. But we'll see if Olaf is dumb with how they work. Okay. How are they going to be hit back? Also, hit them back, and then his infantry just does that. Yeah, again, I'm starting to wonder whether or not the APC hatred from Olaf is actually still a case in this. Now, you see, normally, I would not like my capturing foot soldiers getting shot by battleships, but here, I would very much appreciate that, because my tanks didn't get hit at all, and that's all I wanted. Because with my medium tank and 2 tanks still alive, and in fact, I may even be able to, well, this tank is probably not going to be that alive for much longer, but, I may even get my power here, and if that's the case, Max's power is particularly, well, it's basically the same as Max elsewhere. Incredibly busted. Charging forward with rockets. Wow, Olaf is an idiot. Yes, I have it. So, Max's non-foot soldier direct combat units gain plus 35 to firepower and plus 10 to defense. So they have a total of plus 85. Non-foot soldier direct combat units and transport units gain plus 1 to movement range. So yeah, it's plus 1 movement for direct combat units and transports, and also a massive offense boost. Let's go.
You're gonna get hurt. Max Force.
So Max is rumored to be voiced by Aaron Hansen, and if that's true, I say that he derives his power by imagining that the enemy is Skyward Sword. But, okay. See, again, this artillery is pretty much useless, but, yeah, Max can just roll in and basically destroy, yeah, a regular tank. 142% damage to a rocket. And now we're about to see Sub versus Battleship one-shot. Now, the thing about Max getting a bonus to transport's movement with his CO power, like, we'll be able to see it if we also will be able to see, like, look at that! Like, look at that! Just really, really dumb. But, the actual reason why he gets a bonus to transport movement with this power is because internally, transports actually count as direct combat units. They just don't have weapons. So the funny thing is that if you hack the game to give an APC a gun, Max would actually get a firepower bonus on that APC. Oh wow, I can already drop off my, my things. Thing is though, the tutorial kind of set me back here because I would probably much rather have had that medium tank on the front lines than have it down here, because then I would have a medium tank powered up by well, this, Max's power, and yeah. I've got to plan out how I make these moves though, because, okay. The rocket dies to this rocket plus the other tank. Sort of want to clear the way here. I also quite like what they did with Max's theme in this version. Max's theme is one of the few songs in the original Advance Wars that I wasn't really a huge fan of. It just kind of had this low, grovelly feel to it that just, I don't know, it just never really felt that amazing to me. But yeah, I quite like this version. I don't like my medium tank potentially getting shelled, however, I can just walk in with this medium tank and utterly overkill this thing. Like, he's probably gonna get another blizzard out of this. It's that ridiculous. Unfortunately, I can't quite reach that. Yeah, I don't like there being a second, like, medium tank running around down here. Just wondering if I, like, one-shot that tank, or if I try and kill off this medium tank before it potentially gets repaired. If I don't one-shot that, though, then it's gonna get repaired back up to 3. Is the problem. I don't really trust my ability to one-shot it though, so I'm instead going to go for this tank, which should kill. Yeah, there we go. Let me just, I mean, Olaf lost a lot of, yeah, he's got Blizzard again. Usually happens when you lose, like, a lot of expensive units at once, like Battleships. And I've got some things that might be able to capture the HQ eventually. I probably should have loaded an infantry in that, not a mech. But I stand a pretty decent chance of routing this map. I can also try and, yeah, this right here is called interrupting a capture. Because by doing this, he won't be able to get that city in 2 turns. This is sort of dumb. How... Status. Oh, I haven't actually lost anything yet. Okay, then. Well, I probably can afford to use this APC as a shield then, although... Yeah, the artillery is probably going to shoot it if I do that. Sort of don't want the artillery getting hit by medium tanks, but I would rather the artillery hit something that isn't my own medium tank, so maybe I can do this. If Olaf was smart, he would, like, use this to kill the APC first, but we'll see. I'm not actually super familiar with this mission, but it's overall a pretty straightforward one.
Let the winds of
And there that quote is again, but we've already heard it.
Blizzard.
So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be dumb or not? So yeah, as you can see, he couldn't get that in. I was not expecting you to do that. Okay then. But yeah, he could not get that property in 2 turns. Okay, well, that is one thing dead. Suppose that makes sense. Okay, good. That did actually fire on the APC. My medium tank is going to get first struck by his medium tank. Actually, decently smart of him going in the forest for that. but I'm also firing back with plus 50% firepower, so, yeah, even a half-damaged medium tank does that much damage because max is just ridiculous. The problem now is that my subs are both useless because there are no enemy naval units in play. Oh yeah, and it's snowing, so I've got that as a problem. Yeah, like if you can somehow get artillery like within range of an enemy with max, they can kinda do stuff sometimes, but in general, like Max's artillery are not what you want to rely on with him. And if you're playing as him on a deploy map, you generally just don't want to build artillery at all. They're pretty much a waste of funds when it comes to max. Half damage medium tank, and I still do that much damage to an artillery. It's just, yeah, max is dumb. Max is really dumb in the first game. And I don't mean dumb in the sense of most commanders. I mean, okay, this is actually kind of silly. I can actually do this. That'll get the medium tank further than it would have normally been able to move. You're just gonna... Didn't want to dive, but oh well. Yeah, I'm actually going to retreat you a little bit and attack here with the fresh infantry. I could join those sometimes. So when you're capturing a property and your infantry gets damaged, there's a technique that people call join capping, which is where essentially you join two infantry to, you join another infantry to the one that's already capturing, and the infantry that's capturing won't be able to continue capturing that turn, but it will get more HP and potentially get more of a, more capture points when it tries to capture next turn, if that makes sense. It's really funny when enemies just charge forward with artillery like that. But yeah, both of my indirects can't do anything right now. But now, because this is a max medium tank, even damaged, it is still a little bit stupid because, yeah, see, this is the thing. He struck first in a medium tank versus medium tank engagement, and I still came out on top because that's just how max works. Like, max just wins. Like, no matter what you try and do to him, max just wins. That's just how he rolls. And I use the term roll specifically because of something that we'll be seeing him, that we'll potentially be hearing him say later. No matter what happens, both of these units are kind of gonna go down, and, yeah, I should actually fire on that medium tank just because, the artillery is less likely to actually kill something when it comes to my technique rank. Oh yeah, and the medium tank just died because, again, because max. Because that's just how he rolls. It's just... yeah. Can you imagine if Max got a bonus to his infantry, like if they were considered direct combat units as well? Like, that would be even more ridiculously stupid. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if... oh, no, he's not going to get 3 blizzards. It would be really funny if he got 3 blizzards. But no, you can rise. And I didn't even need to try to go for the HQ. Again, because Max. So again, I don't know why this mission has a higher difficulty than the Andy version. Oh, well, I should mention that being called an imbecile by Olaf is probably the worst insult imaginable. But even then, Olaf's really not one to talk there. I feel so bad for anybody who is under Olaf's command. Yeah, I left those battleships in a bad position, but via some lures I was able to make it through mostly unscathed, and the only thing I would have done differently if I replayed this mission would be to say no to the tutorial so that I could actually use the second medium tank on the front lines instead of in the transport, because, yeah, that second medium tank never got to do anything, and can you imagine how that first max force would have gone if I had 2 medium tanks there? That's totally true, Andy, totally true. Maybe in the second game, though.
Let's do it.
Surprisingly sassy, Andy. Yeah, the thing is, they like to point this out as a big weakness of Max in the first game, but as I keep saying, it's really not. Advance Wars 2 Max more so, because indirects are very, very useful, and in Advance Wars 2, Max having bad indirects is a lot bigger of a downside, because his direct units only have plus 20% firepower. Yeah, they nerfed him that badly, and by the way, Advance Wars 2 Max is still considered high tier, which should tell you something.
That about wraps it up.
Yeah, I probably could have done that better, but it's still a perfect S rank. So, yes, on the next episode of Broken, I mean Advance Wars, we will, I think regardless of which mission we choose, no, actually, wait, no, I think Max's next mission is also a Max one. So, in the original game, if you chose Max for Max Strikes and did this version, you were locked into what's called the Max route, and doing this would also affect which commander you got helping you in the final mission. Ironically, if you want Max in the final mission, and you do because he's one of the best characters for that one, you actually had to not pick Max for this, because choosing Max here, well, we'll see its result later, but if you chose Andy, that actually put you on the route to get Max in the final battle. Now, given that you can choose your routes in Reboot Camp, my guess is that you get to choose who you use in the final battle, which is going to make that mission a lot more manageable than it used to be. Because it used to be a gigantic guide dang it who you got there, based on the actions you took in certain other missions. I'll talk about that later, but for now, this has been Max exploding everything because he's broken. See you all next time.